mayor came out and endorsed him. And, I'm thinking, local politics is where most people get their start. Steve Womack, he's a congressman now for the state of Arkansas. He got his start as being mayor of the city of Rogers. So therefore, you start low and, and then you work your way up.
You guys keep it going here. I got to use the bathroom really quick. So.
Oh, boy.
Keep it going. Don't talk too much.
Is he going to leave or do it right now?
He's going to leave. Well, there we go. How about that?
It's up to you, Joe.
I've got a topic, that's been on TV tonight as well. And you were saying they take it one bite at a time, and we've been schnookered. So the Democrats are running Pennsylvania, and they passed the rule that you can have another, whatever it is, 8 days to get ballots in.
That's just crazy.
All right. So they've set it up since that's going to be.
All right. So what we got here is
that if they need that state,
I'm going to be joining these folks live here about 9 o'clock. I'm supposed to go on. I think these guests
in Connecticut
are going to take off. I'll go ahead and mute this real quick. Yeah, so thank you for joining me. I'm going to be joining a Mr. Daniel Kent Meyer of the Connecticut Strategist Report. This is basically just a open discussion on his channel. He's featured on Roku. You can check him out at strategistreport.com. The guy is a political strategist. He's very successful, and he's been talking with some very interesting people here. I'll just go ahead and get into this. We can kind of peer into what these guys got going on this evening for the next 10, 15 minutes or so, and then I'm going to go ahead and join them live. AL SoCal, what's up? Six Banger, thanks for being here, my guys. Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate it. Manchester, Connecticut, the Waz, what's up, man? Keeping it local. Thanks for being here, brother. Thanks for your support. Please hit that like button for me. It's going to help the channel, help the video tremendously. Mr. Anderson, thank you for being here, Mr. Anderson. Yeah, so let's dive right in here, folks. I don't want to take anything away from this wonderful program. I've been listening since 7. I have known Mr. Meyer's work for some time. I've never actually spoke with the man until this week. And we're just going to go dive right in, fire from the hip this evening, and join the conversation pre-election. I guess we could say election eve, and we're going to talk about anything under the sun relative to politics, social things. I don't know if religion might come up or judges, whatever. Basically, it's going to be a review, some news, and a bunch of other things. It should be a bunch of fun. We'll see how it goes. Let's get you some audio here.
For some reason, it's heavily weighted toward Democrats. I don't know why. Maybe it's just that Republicans don't want to get involved in the tedious work of elections. But, I saw some of that. Of course, I always put my foot in the door and stop what I could. But I think you have a legitimate point there. And yes, it could happen, and it may very well have happened.
Go ahead, hit one in the live chat. If the audio is okay on me and this program here.
One time.
I'm sure it has.
I don't remember the details, but we had that situation too. I don't know if it was a present. How did it come out?
Yeah, we're sitting on the edge of our seat.
Look, right?
Diet Coke and TX. Hold up the bottle, Ray.
That's right. I want to try the TX. Look at this. This is what they have. This is a type of whiskey they're drinking down there. What is that about? Is that about 20 proof for you Arkansas guys?
Oh, it's just a little above 2% milk. It's 82 proof.
82. That's pretty good.
So these guys are some real cowboys. I believe the woman there, her name is actually Brenda Wyrick.
Really?
She's vice mayor in
if you
Little Rock, Arkansas.
The polls, it's so close
Interesting group of people here, Mr. Petrina. This man had a great group of great couple, 2-3 guys on earlier.
Dan,
It'll be interesting to see the replay of the show. I don't really know what to expect from this man, what kind of questions he's going to ask me later, but I'm all about meeting new people and networking. So we'll see what this turns into. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Basically, I'm gonna at 9 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and dive onto his StreamYard and mirror it here on my channel, so you guys can stay right here. You won't have to go anywhere, and we'll have a good time. I hope. We'll see what it's all about. If you haven't heard already, please check out Activism News Network, activismnewsnetwork.com. Sort of sponsored, if you will, by Expanding Freedom, Inc. It's a 501c3 nonprofit based out of Florida. You can join 21 other auditors and I on Roku and get some sort of exclusive content there, and a nice good consolidation of some really fine work put out by our community as a collective. I think it's going to be a fantastic sort of tidal wave that hopefully re-energizes the community and inspires newcomers and existing members alike. So anyway, let's get back into this. I talk a lot. I apologize for that. We'll keep running with this, and I'll talk when I'm on the show.
Oh my gosh, So there's been such a change in the and the philosophy of the two governments. By the way, you got to understand down here in the South, why is the South so red now and used to be so blue? You got to understand the history of the South. It goes all the way back to the Civil War. For instance, you've heard that said that, boy, if my granddaddy knew that I voted Republican, he'd turn over in the grave. He had a good reason for saying that, because after the Civil War, the carpetbaggers came in, and they were Republicans, and that was a solid rejection of the Republican Party. Then the next generation we had the Depression. Well, these people down, my parents and all that went through the Depression, and they were hungry. Now, it wasn't because they missed the exit to McDonald's. They were hungry because there wasn't no food. And Roosevelt came in and gave some, job programs and actually put money in people's pockets. So it reinforced the Democratic Party. Now, as it changes and we see the conservative values are no longer in that old blue dog Democrat, as they call him, it's easier for the South to flip. And those generations and that history is pretty vague in most Southerners' minds, I think.
Right.
So there you go.
The biggest thing is concerning me is, this mask deal is it's definitely a virus out there. Everybody's getting sick. There's people getting sick every day on it. They've never had a cure for the flu. Now they're getting a cure for this virus that's coming out, and they think that's going to be the savior of the world. It's not how many people get sick, it's how many people die at the end of the day. And we can't just go in a hole somewhere and wait for this thing to go over. We still got to get out and live and make a living and live our lives. And I'm just afraid if the Democrat Party gets elected tomorrow, they're going to shut this country down to the point you can't even go out and work and make a living. And you won't be able to do anything. Phil won't even be able to go out and feed his cows without a mask on. And you can't, I had to do a treadmill the other day with my heart. I had to do that treadmill for 15 minutes with a mask on. And the lady said, boy, your blood pressure is real bad. Well, yeah, I can't breathe.
No oxygen.
I couldn't get no oxygen. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But I'm just afraid that it's going to go to the extreme if these people we shouldn't take steps to prevent this virus from somebody catching it. I had my closest uncle pass away. His funeral was Saturday. I didn't
I apologize for that. Got an internet connection issue here this evening. It's awful windy out here in Connecticut. Got to be a limb on a line or something to that effect. Let's get this back up here for you. If we go down again, there is one thing I could check. Perhaps that could resolve the problem. It might be on my drop, so I could go check things out. It's been raining awful hard past couple days, and yeah, about 50-mile-an-hour winds for the last 24 hours or so. So just bear with me. If we get dropped again, that'd be a shame. Sorry about that, Russ. But we do our best with what we got here at the time. So let's see here. I'll go ahead and get that up for you. Oh, and try that again. There you go. And
Now, that's my fear.
In other words, go back, and then when you got that out of your system, go up to your little apartment that's the size of a garage, and then come back down in the morning and have your latte or whatever the hell that's called.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people living like that. You're right.
Yeah.
So
And
we'll see.
it's crazy.
I can't tell.
Hey,
Can't tell.
term limits.
That would be good luck getting that. Since
I saw it firsthand.
They just have to vote on it, and then we'll have term limits. Same with
someone has to put it forward.
Ballot initiatives in Connecticut. We don't have those, but they just have to vote on it, which they never will. So
let me give you a little history about Arkansas. Arkansas had no term limits. I served in the House of Representatives when it was changed, and it was pretty radical. Let's see, two 4-year terms for a senator and 6 years for a House of Representatives.
That was Amendment 59, wasn't it?
I don't know what the number is. Oh my gosh, how horrible. How can you possibly prevent somebody as smart as me from serving again? How can you lose this institutional brilliance? And, they couldn't understand it because I was for it. I said, let me tell you something. And then we went to term limits and everything was great. By the way, we also found that we had less convictions of elected officials in the legislature than ever. Because when you're up there, you can't make that much money being in session. So you try to make it, the conventional wisdom, make it with deals up there. The issue is this.
Oh, go ahead. Finish your point, Phil.
Well, the issue is the graveyards are full of indispensable people, and everybody can be replaced. That's the argument.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, there's one thing before we go here, if you're getting ready to cut us off.
Go ahead.
The biggest thing needs to ban, and we need to do it in the states and in federal government. That's these dang lobbyists. These lobbyists create more problems for us than anything in the world.
all right, so it looks like I'm going to be going on. Stick with me. We'll see how it goes. Wish me luck. I'm going to be firing from the hip. We'll see what this is all about, and we'll go from there.
Lobbyist with the state of Arkansas. Now, how can you be a lobbyist and work for the Chamber of Commerce, which gets money to support raising taxes on the taxpayers of Springdale, and it goes to the federal government? And these lobbyists are killing us.
Look, we have to leave it right there. but I want to thank each and every one of you for coming on the CT Strategist Report. And I think the audience here is looking forward to what promises to be a really fun show with the four of us. And once you see the setup we have, once we move into the studio with the live band and everything, it's going to be a wonderful time. So,
and the propane heater.
Do you have just a few more seconds?
Yeah.
I'll give you, sure. You've got a couple more seconds for you.
Well, I had a guest that I know, and he's over 100 years old, believe it or not. And he just wanted to make an appearance, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
No. We've been waiting for the big reveal, so let's see it.
Hello there.
The Duke. Yeah. All right.
Let me tell you something. That's Newmyer guy.
He still looks good.
Got girly, man. Listen, I didn't know what he was going to say. I'm sorry. I hope you didn't take that as offense. Okay.
I did not.
Thanks.
In the least. Well,
Joe, it's good to meet you. Thanks, Dan.
Good to meet you, Ray.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, we got to have some fun.
All right. Well,
Nice
thank you guys. Thank you guys. Well, coming up next is a real treat for you guys. And one of the things as a political strategist, and I'm like into my third drink at least, is that we get to, we work in activism, and it kind of starts as a seed where maybe you volunteer on a campaign. Maybe you get passionate about an issue. Maybe your friends are going to a rally and you come along and you're moved by that rally. Maybe you see an injustice, or maybe you see that things could work better, or they're not working right, or something's wrong, and you want to get involved. And becoming an activist is somebody who takes an action for political reasons, right? And I say it's like eating cake, right? Is you see a piece of cake and you say, well, sure, I'd like to take a little bite of that. And so you get into a little activism, you take a little bite of the cake, and then your friends come back 6 months or a year later, and all of a sudden you're marching, and your whole life has changed. You're doing a podcast, or you're doing a radio show, and you're talking to people about issues. So my next guest is somebody that I recently met, Tim Riley of Tyrant Slayer Studios, which sparked my my interest immediately. And excuse my inebriated state, Tim, but they reached out to me, and we went back and forth, and I started to look into what they're doing, and here's a group of people who have really come up with a way of outreach to other people through this grassroots method, which I guess I'm part of that fabric at some level too. But without further ado, let's bring on Tim from Tyrant Slayer Studios. Tim, how are you?
Thank you very much. I'm doing very well, Mr. Meyer. Thank you very much for that very gracious and kind introduction, sir. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, no, it's great, and I'm really happy that we hooked up here. And can you give me like a little bit of background about who you are and how you got started in this, and how things have kind of progressed to this point? Because much like me, I kind of look backwards some days and go, what the heck where did I take the wrong turn? Or the right turn. And so please tell us.
Well, there is an element of Socrates in this, if you will. I kind of just life experience has been the best teacher for me. And I grew up in Willimantic here in Connecticut. My parents moved my sisters and I come from a rather large family. I had 3 siblings, and I was caught in the middle there. I had 3 sisters. My dad and I were always outnumbered. Very interesting household, to say the least. But I'm sorry, say that one.
How many bathrooms did you have?
Oh, we had one for a very long time. And it turned into 1.5 towards the tail end of things. Yes, as you can imagine, the bathrooms were always occupied, to say the least. But we ended up finishing school in the Farmington Valley, and I think the transition in that alone, and the impact that had on my life, was rather profound. The completely.
Yeah, that's amazing. From Willimantic. So did you go to Wyndham High, or at what point did you make that transfer?
I did. I started kindergarten in the old. What was it called? It's a dorm for Eastern now. But I started kindergarten in what is now a dorm, and then I went to Natchog Elementary, Kramer Middle School, and then Wyndham High until about the end of my freshman year, and then right from maybe third marking period, I suppose. We moved to Farmington, and it was tough. I mean, I thought I knew it all, and I was even skipping school and in a rebellious sort of thing with my parents, and upset about the move, and even with skipping school, if I had gone to the school and picked up assignments and made them up and just showed up for the tests, I was getting pretty good grades. And I thought I knew it all. Then I got to Farmington, and I didn't really know too much at all. I was lost for a long time. And the cultural shift, I guess, is what was most difficult.
Most interesting to me is that, oh my God.
That unto itself was a big thing. It changed a lot of things for me very fast, and I had to adapt. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I had to make changes personally, and it was a very difficult trying some time, but I got through it. I was young, and resilient. I met some fantastic people, and I ended up doing some very good work with a number of phenomenal craftsmen, if I may. Mannion McCarthy out of the Farmington Valley, colonial furniture restoration. Then there was Preston A. Williams, PAW remodeling. They both do outstanding work locally in the Farmington area and throughout Connecticut. No, not currently, but I did. I did work with them for a number of years. I learned how to refinish antique furniture. I got into carpentry. I was hand stripping and doing antiques, laying down lacquer finishes, and doing decks and roofs and windows, siding doors, all that sort of stuff. These guys taught me a lot of things, and I ended up becoming a Knight of Columbus. I got reconnected with God, which I think helped me a lot. I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but it sure helped me a lot.
They have, yeah.
And even with all of I ended up. Long story short, I kind of got into trouble out in the valley, and it just happened at the wrong time. I was at the wrong place, and being so strong, I guess, from having to endure. I was a scrawny little kid. I was a skinny kid with big ears. I still got the ears. I got headphones on them now. Never outgrew those. My head just never got bigger. But I had a hard time, and I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. I think I was going to smoke some weed. I was. This is back in 2001 or so, and I was maybe 19 years old, still a teenager. And so I got caught down at Suburban Park in town with these kids. They were rolling a joint to smoke, and I went to try to confront the officer, and he pointed a gun in my face, like 6 inches from my face, called me an a-hole, started screaming at me, told me to get on the ground, and I was just Joe Johnny peaceful, saying, "Hey, how you doing? How can I help you, officer?" And I was just shocked by the egregious behavior, because I I didn't feel like I was in Willimantic. I felt like I was in the valley, and like I could talk to a police officer, and he could work with me, and we could all just find a way to peacefully resolve things without any of my friends or anyone getting in trouble. And it just went the totally opposite way. And I was totally violated. I was just trying to stand up for my rights and that of my friends, and they didn't like that. And I was choked to the car, which was like 60 feet away. And I was illegally incarcerated for that entire weekend. And for like almost a month after that, I went to Hartford County Correctional for no reason. I never even broke a law. And I was there for almost a month. And I wouldn't have gotten out as soon as I did if the circumstances that allowed that to happen weren't there. And I'm not going to go into what those were, but I was very fortunate. It was a very terrifying situation. It was very costly, cost me a lot of money. I had been scheduled to receive my second and third degrees of the Knights of Columbus that night. That evening, and I had a plane ticket set forth for Florida. I had a landscaping endeavor and a new job lined up down in Florida, which was squandered by all of that.
And when you're a young man, that's your formative years, and these are, you look back at it now as an adult, and you say, well, you could get your mind around fighting that, but when you're a young man, that's formative. Is that this is the world doing this to you, and how can this happen? So
it was very depressing. I felt very alone, and I was not disciplined at 19 enough to be able to kind of reverse engineer what had happened, and then kind of, while reconstructing it, mapping out a path to seek legal recourse upon. I was very angry. I was very irrational and unstable from it. I was very, vengeful. I was never violent or anything. I never wanted to hurt anyone, but I gave up on the government. I gave up on the police. I gave up on a lot of things that I used to hold dear to me that I believed in. I felt betrayed. I literally felt betrayed. I've been working since I was like 10. I had my first paper route when I was 10, and I've been working. I've worked at a kennel. I used to take care of dogs, and I'm a very human people person, and I'm very empathic, and that really hurt my spirit as an American, what happened to me. And it really bothers me when people correlate this sort of thing to race, because I'm white and I'm in the valley and I didn't do anything wrong, and I felt like I was almost shot for no reason. And even though it's best case scenario, I'm still in a prison for no reason. I never even broke a law, and it's screwed up a huge part of my life, and it was very difficult to get over. Yeah, and even when I did make an attempt, the police shut me right down. It was like, "Hi, I'm Tim Riley. I'm going to self-represent. I'd like to pull any records you guys have with my name." And they said, "No, we can't give that to you. You have to have an attorney," which was a lie. But again, I'm only 19, and I don't know that. I had a headache just thinking about making that phone call, so I just gave up on it. Now, later in life, there were a number of things that led me to where I'm at now. But I digress. This is your show, sir, so please lead the way.
No. I think this is great. I was going to ask how that squares. So you had that experience in your life, which is what arguably a lot of the Black Lives Matter, at least argument is identical to that. That's the argument. Is that this?
You got it.
100% happened to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and it has absolutely nothing to do with race. In fact, I would argue it's the people versus the state. It's statism. It's authoritarianism. And this whole thing with COVID and these orders and the arbitrary restrictions and classifications of certain businesses. I mean, this is disgusting.
It really is. So what I want to get to, Tim, is so this is the impetus for what was to come in your life as far as what can I do? How can I
help somebody? How can I educate the police and stop somebody from going to jail for no reason like me? How can I educate my fellow citizens so that they can properly articulate themselves rather than, I mean, granted, I was aggressive. All I was doing was exercising my freedom of speech. I have every right to express my grievances with my public officials, especially in the course of their public duties in public, even if that's in the middle of what they're calling their investigation. And for me to be treated that way, just for exercising my First Amendment right to.
Yeah. And so what you did.
I was aggressive, and maybe it was my voice that sounded hostile, but that's not against the law. You can sound, the way you want to sound. Maybe you yell a lot. Maybe you got a lot of kids. Maybe that's just the way you talk. Like maybe you're used to just talking and being audible in that manner. And there's no law against how you have to address an officer,
What I want to know is so what was the first action? Like, what was the first thing that started you on the Tyrant Slayer Studios news and media path? And then how did we start to go down that road? And then you have a partner in crime. So we want to hear about that too. That's right.
Yes, she's sitting here next to me. She's definitely going to come and say hello at some point.
Hi.
Well, it's that was all the motivation for it. I've had this buried down inside of me and the drive to do something about it. I've been very inspired by John and Robert Kennedy and and Martin Luther King even, and I believe that eternal flame is very symbolic for, it holds a lot of symbolism for my children's generation, and I want to get that eternal flame, that torch, pick up the torch that was snuffed and light it, and have my kids run with it, and your grandkids perhaps or whatever, and have the people rebuild Camelot, if you will. That's what Tyrant Slayer Studios is all about. It's about empowering the people, and it really became something that come into fruition upon stumbling upon a community on YouTube, which is a very small community, but rather large for what it is. It's known as the auditing community, or citizen surveyors, or citizen journalists, community cop watchers, First Amendment auditors, Second Amendment auditors. For example, a Second Amendment auditor, a fantastic Second Amendment auditor called Solo Yacker. I believe he's in Florida. I could be mistaken, so don't quote me on that geography. But he basically goes fishing while open carrying, so that when somebody kind of freaks out and calls the police, and the police come up treating him like an armed criminal, like he can kind of take hold of that situation, educate the police, and hopefully convey to them properly that they should now go on and educate the citizen who made the complaint, so that they don't have to feel unsafe, so that everyone can start becoming comfortable, and it could be normalized to see someone carrying a weapon on their side while they're fishing at the pier with their kids.
There was actually a state police memo here in Connecticut that had to be issued with the mandate of saying, look, if somebody complains of seeing an open weapon, you're not to take the side of the complainer, you're to take the side of the person carrying the gun. And this was a memo that was put out to the state police. But then subsequently there was this thing down at the subway in New Haven. I don't know if you caught any of that, with the guy who went in to buy a sandwich, and he had his gun on his hip, and they called the police, and there was a confrontation between the police and the patron who was saying, look, I just want to buy a sandwich. I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't have to show you my permit. And that kind of sparked the stuff with Chris Murphy and Blumenthal and everything, and that got the whole thing spun up again,
They are out of control. There are a number of special interests that they pander to, and while it's great that mandate come down for state police, ultimately the state police are they're their own union, and the state's going to do what it wants to do for whatever reason. Like, there's always a breakdown between departments. Troop H might do something different than Troop C, just like a local department's going to do something different. And that's the problem. I think you should be able to open carry wherever you are in the country, and I don't think you need a permit in each individual state or anything like that. In fact, I'm against fingerprinting and all that stuff, but that's a different topic.
Yeah.
These guys that articulate this stuff, the auditing community, Rogue Nation, people know him as Captain Awesome. His YouTube channel name is Rogue Nation, was a tremendous inspiration. SGV News, now he does things a little more, I wouldn't say abrasively, but aggressively. You know, and what's funny is he'll give everyone a fair shake, if you will, but he's, you know, once he's violated, he's got no respect for that officer who's just dishonored his oath, if you will, or no respect for the citizen who's going to call an armed man because he's simply standing there with a video camera or a photography equipment in his hand. You know, public photography is not a crime, and just walking down the street these days with a camera in your hand seems to alarm a lot of people, and police are often very adamantly, very vehemently fighting for, you know, to at least ID you. And it's like, well, what crime have I committed? You know, I'm in the state of Connecticut. You're not required to produce identification unless you're, of course, suspected of committing a crime, unless they have reasonable articulable suspicion, and it could be articulated in three different points and manners. You know, like time, place, and manner for trespassing, if you will. Unless being suspicious is a misdemeanor or a felony, it's not a crime. So police are often detaining people illegally and holding them and going, we'll just fingerprint you then. We'll just hold you and lock you up. You don't want to tell us who you are. You know, you say you're press, you don't even have press credentials. Well, does the state issue a license?
Let me rein you back in. And for say, you know, look, give your first report, or what was that first action?
It was the Connecticut Liberty Rally. I was very intrigued at, I think his name is John Johnson. I think he's actually got a campaign going in Connecticut. He was doing the Connecticut Liberty Rally, and it was basically a drive-by rally at the governor's mansion here in the state of Connecticut. I think it was on April the 20th.
Yep.
I went and covered it as thorough as I could, and, you know, trying to stay out of trouble. I wasn't sure what to expect because I know how crazy this state could be. And we just kind of drove through, documented it best we could. I did more or less a cinematography sort of coverage of it. And I just threw that up later in May. I think I put my first video up in May. Started my channel in March, put my first video up in May. And within like 3 months, it was just, it was amazing. I've never been so humbled in my entire life. The support I got, you know, through my continued coverage and efforts on a number of issues just seemed to snowball very quickly. And the community that inspired me, I gave back right to that community a really nice GoPro Max auditors bundle. I armed a fellow citizen with a camera of his own, and the inspiration from me and the others that gave it to me to go out and protect his side of Connecticut and his county. Yes, I have heard of the name, but I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't learned too much about him. I do have the hopes that we have a good libertarian thing going here. We need it.
Person, um, Matt O'Brien will be joining us. And then later on, Libertarian congressional candidate Dan Rial, who, as I was just saying, is frequently on this show and also posted on our Facebook page as having some really interesting views that are outside the two-party system as to why would you keep voting for something that you don't want for something that you do. But it looks like Tim has found his way back, and we'll try him again. Hey, are you back? There you are.
Yes, sir. I am terribly sorry. It's kind of been doing this on it. It's like the fourth time today. And I was like, of course, this is going to happen today. I've been in this property for about 18 months now, and this is the first time internet's been unreliable ever.
All right. So we've gotten to the point where you kind of kicked most of this off since May, and things have kind of exponentially grown for you. And now you kind of find yourself reaching out. And that's how I learned about you. Your better half, I'm told, is reached out, and I appreciated that, because I'm always looking for other people who are trying to give people a voice, or to shine some light in the darker corners, or at least let people know what's going on. I don't know if you caught any of my exploits over the summer, but I had uncovered the fact that there was this huge cover up of the state party, Republican Party, over a domestic violence situation of a potential candidate. And it to me, my stepmother or a family member is Denise Merrill, the Secretary of the State. It's not a big secret. People feel all kinds of ways about that. But to me, disenfranchising 10,000 voters intentionally is abhorrent and wrong. People had the right to know these details. And so I went out on a limb and raised some hell about that. So I appreciate what you're doing over there. And how does your better half figure into all this?
Well, she's been, I would say, in a brief synopsis, when we first started, we've known each other for a long time. She was very recluse. We drifted away, we reconnected, and now we have a wonderful family together. And she was still very, I hate to use the word weak, but I think it's appropriate. And now, after I didn't really give her anything she didn't already have. I just kind of made her look at things that she had differently, and look at the state and the relationship between the people differently. I've even gotten her to eat new foods that she would have otherwise been sick off of today, without that sort of encouragement. And now she's stronger than I am. She's got power. She wants to change things on a local level. She wants to run for local office at some time, and we're going to use our knowledge that we've gained over the last year or so from the auditing community and from educating ourselves in self-help and the Constitution and our rights, our awareness. Now we're going to audit, our towns, and we're going to find the waste and the redundancies, and she's going to campaign on all of this stuff and fixing these problems and appealing to the people on just the basics, like financial gains and financial losses and cost and things like that. We could deal with social stuff afterwards.
Yeah, actually,
but
she was the one that I first bumped into out there in the cyber world, and she had reached out. And so you want to bring her on here? You're going to leave us?
Yes, without further ado, yes. Let's bring on
Thank you.
Ms. Tyrant Slayer. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Mr. Meyer.
Newmyer.
Newmyer. Yeah, sorry.
Hold on a second.
Get yourself comfortable.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So now, is your father's name Mike?
Yes, that is my father.
Well, I know your father very well, and I like him very much. I don't know how you feel about it, but yeah, it's not a longer. But I found that interesting. But so how did you get wrapped up in this? And was Tim's characterization of you accurate?
Yeah, I would say. So my background's a little different than Tim's. I was a straight A student. I was a conscientious student. So, I guess the underlying definition of that is someone who takes orders well and follows, what they're told to do well. I would call it, at this point in my life, after learning what I've learned, indoctrination. So, I was just kind of like go with the flow, not question authority. If there's a policy in place, that must be there for a good reason. But after being with Tim for some time and looking at things maybe through a more educated light, I've kind of seen where I have gone in the past just through either the public education that I received or through what is put out by the media or the movie, Hollywood, even video games, things of that. I just look at things a little differently now because I feel like I have a more clear head about things. And then when things do come up, like waste in the government or a scandal that's being silenced or people being put in prison for no good reason at all, instead of being quiet about it, there's this urge underneath that says you got to open up and say something, because if you don't, who else is going to do that?
Isn't that a strange feeling? All of a sudden,
Yeah.
like all of a sudden you need to do something. Then you start to do it. And then before you know it, you're into it, so deep, and you've done so much. And now, like, I started my political action in 2011. And so I'm like looking at all this wreckage of all this stuff that I've done to try to further what I hoped would be kind of a renaissance of my party, but it has yet to materialize. But what do you think of yourself as the activist now?
I think what we're doing is the right thing to do. I think there need to be more people standing up when they see things that are wrong. There are people who view us there's some people who really like what we're doing and think that we are doing the right thing for Americans and standing up for our rights. And then there are other people who look at it and go, well, what normal person is going to be going up to, let's say, a correctionals facility with a camera? But the whole, I guess, part of it is for the people who don't understand is that it's incremental, and just one thing is going to be taken away, and then soon after a while it is going to affect you, and it is going to be something that's going to come into your living room that you didn't even think could happen. So I think it's important for people to stand up when they feel like there's an injustice being done or there's a change that needs to be made.
Yeah, and look, I applaud you for doing that, both of you, because it takes guts and it takes fortitude. And like you're saying, there's some people who don't understand. And when I went after the Republican Party for this domestic abuse victim over the summertime, I mean, I experienced a friend of mine who had that in their life. And I said, look, we're not just going to put this in the closet and let this guy move forward. We're going to do something about this. You know what I mean? We're going to stand up. We're going to do the right thing here. And we're going to call these people to the carpet. Well, that has repercussions, right? I mean, people get angry when you do that, when you call them out, and they stick together. And the repercussions can be tough to deal with too. So I applaud what you're doing. And where do you see this going now?
Well, as Tim had mentioned, I do want to at some point potentially run for a local position. I think it's going to start with auditing. I know for a fact town employees waste taxpayer dollars with just their regular day-to-day, daily business in their official positions. They just go beyond where they should be going, and things don't need to be, the money doesn't have to be as wasteful. You don't have to have that big of a budget to be able to run a town successfully. And I feel like if I can audit a town, I can pull the records, I can go through what's being used and what doesn't need to continue to happen, and I can put it out instead of just coming out on a platform saying, I want to lower your taxes. I can say, I want to lower your taxes, and here's how we can lower your taxes.
Wonderful.
Have a plan behind just the words. It's not just a statement. You actually have a basis behind, you can back it up with facts.
Well, I am happy to help you do that. I was in 2018, I was the highest paid political strategist to my knowledge, and I will, for no cost, consult with you and give you what knowledge I have as to how you might go about that. And one of the things, one of the things that I always tell people is that I think starting on the local level and getting public service experience is what it's all about, right? You get people like Bob Stefanowski who have all this money from the payday loan scams or whatever the hell he did. He comes in and tries to buy the election, but you really want somebody who's dedicated their life to public service and doing the right thing and trying to help people. Because after they've been doing it for 10 years or whatever, and they step up to the plate, you say, well, look, Rachel's been helping everybody out for this time, and she should go forward. So, any way I can help you out, or if you want any advice about politics or how to get started in that, I'm happy to help you.
Yeah, I would really appreciate that. We can definitely talk more about that, in the near future and going forward. I had actually, my dad's part of the Republican Party, I think, in Lebanon. Okay. And I had gone to him initially and asked him what he thought. And he said, reach out to the ROTC. But I don't want to run as a Republican. I've had an issue with Republican Democrat division since grade school. So I think go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe we should, like I was saying to Tim, is introduce you to my friend Dan Rial, who will be on tonight around 11. And he is a libertarian. And his whole mantra is, if you keep voting for the things that you don't like, you're never going to get anything you like. So
yeah,
maybe that's your card, or maybe you are just an independent.
I'm sorry.
Maybe you'll run as an independent.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, we're still kind of throwing things around.
Carries a stigma.
I thought I am registered libertarian, and a lot of the libertarian values are close to what I believe in, but I have a problem with everybody sticking themselves into a box. It's like, just because you hold some values doesn't mean you necessarily hold all of those values. And how many people do we have in this country? How can that many people be stuffed into one or two or three boxes? I just don't see the reality behind putting everybody in said boxes.
When you have, my wife is Norwegian, and in Norway they have about 30 parties. And so what they have to do is they have to, get with the environmental people and with the whatever people, the industry people, and they have to form coalitions, which, for better or worse, it seems kind of cumbersome in some respects. But I understand where your perspective is that, and I have talks about this with politicians a lot too, is that the general public kind of sees Republican or Democrat as a homogenous group of people, but they're far from that, right? Which is exactly what you're saying, which is everybody has some things they support and some things that they don't, and that we're all different, right? Is that, sometimes we have similarities, but there's usually several things that we feel differently about. So it isn't one size fits all. And now we're forced into these two boxes. It's either, Pepsi or Coke.
Right. And then you're also told, if you do want to put a third party vote in, that your vote won't count, it won't matter, and then there's more pressure put on you to pick one or the other. And I do feel a lot of people that I've met throughout my life are like, either they just don't care, or they feel like they're being, pushed in one direction or the other. And I don't think it has to necessarily go that way. I mean, I know there's pros and cons. Like you said, they're having 30 different parties. That could be out of hand. But having to pick between two, it's kind of like, I might not agree with everything that's going to happen further down the road. And I mean, it's such a big part of your rights as an American to be able to say, I want this person to represent me. But what if, 50% of what they represent isn't how you feel or what you would like to see as, your country?
Yeah, and what's interesting to me, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm 56 now. And so I've done this for about 30 years. I've been in politics, and I've kind of seen how people kind of come up and start and how they view things, and it's so wonderful to see you guys, kind of feeling your way through this as to figuring out how it is, right? So I kind of see it from my perspective of having lived through what it's been to me up to this point, and you guys are starting on that path, and it really is encouraging to me to know that that there's people like you that are involved in this stuff. You know what I mean? You're doing a good job, so I support what
Thank
guys-
you. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Well,
We've had a few people tell us that we're doing God's work. We've had people reach out to us and really
look at the happy
give our support or give their support to us.
Yeah, and look at, you can't please everybody, and if you call it Tyrant Slayer Studios, that will be somewhat controversial to some people, but I like it, right? So I think it's good.
It's in there for a reason, if you move out of the way. The dove is there for a reason. You see the dove there. I mean, we're not protagonists. We are often portrayed as protagonists and inflammatory. And I think part of the reason why I've taken off, in fact, most of the feedback has indicated the reason why I've done so well so fast is because I am so composed, if you will, and I won't allow the situation and the overwhelming emotions I'm experiencing. I mean, believe me, my heart is pounding and the adrenaline is high. But to kind of stay calm and just reasonably and rationally articulate the laws and kind of keep the cops focused on, hey, what statute are you talking about here?
What
You can
you're
often
telling
get
me
them
is
to
you're
back down.
becoming
And
a politician, and you're able to put it into a bag and have a rational conversation now. So now,
Yeah.
it's going to be a 2-politician household, I think.
Well, and we named our boys we have 4 young boys. We have twin boys, and we named them after the Kennedy family. It's a very inspiring. I mean, I know some of the history going back to Joseph P. is very controversial, and there is some controversy around the Kennedy, John Kennedy, Jack Kennedy's administration. But there's a lot of disinformation out there too. There's a lot of rumor and there's a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding the assassination and things. But when you get down to the brass tacks, John Kennedy, I think, found a greater sense of himself, and rather than being on strings, he started doing some very real things for this country, and he sacrificed his life to do that. And his brother did the same, and Martin Luther King fell victim to all of that, and the power that the people had wielded through those representatives has since been snuffed out, and it's overtaken our media, it's overtaken academics and education, it's overtaken social perceptions and views and behaviors. Human behavior is absolutely out of control and very unstable in my estimations. I do not have a PhD or anything, but again, I've had to, in my darker times in my life, adapt and learn how to survive in this world and be a better person and maintain my discipline and find the strength, forge that strength to press for the right answers and the right ways to deal with things. And in all of that, I've been able to kind of just do this, and I'm doing it with the blind hope that it will continue to come into fruition. I continue to meet amazing and extraordinary people like yourself. I've become recently a part of a 501c3 operation out of Florida. It's Activism News Network. We're featured on Roku. I guess we're your neighbor there on the platform.
You guys are welcome to put your content on CP Politics too, if you'd like to. No charge, and we got to spread it around, and I'm happy. I'd love to team up on some coverage of something, maybe cover an event together. That would be fun.
I would absolutely love to do that. I've met an extraordinary individual who's got an extraordinary studio. He is. It's called Impact Audits, is I think is the name of the business,
Yeah.
No, that's his name of his YouTube channel.
Impact Marketing.
Impact Marketing is the name of his business. He's got a great place over there on Pearl Street. Very nice studio, and he's been inspired. He's a paralegal, very intelligent man, and I'm sure. I think the more greater minds together, maybe perhaps a think tank someplace sometime is appropriate. And we can really start putting some minds and resources together. It would be fantastic.
Right. I've created an organization called the Connecticut Taxpayers Union. What it is a call to action to taxpayers to be able to put the same type of pressure politically that the public unions do on our state government. Because I used to.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I used to work for the public union, so I was the henchman. I was the one who told the representatives, you vote the way we want, or you're fucking out of here. And then I would go and I would find people, develop candidates, run them against them, and get rid of them. And I was that guy. And so I understand what the pressure is. I understand the conversations because I was the guy who had them. I was the henchman. I was the arm twister. I was the bad guy who got all that training. And then I went to work for the other side. And so I got to see, I have a view on politics that most people don't have, of seeing it from the top and the inside of both sides. And so now I'm giving that to the people. I want the people to understand what's going on and what the inside looks like and what's going on, because I'm involved in very, very interesting aspects at the highest level of politics and how things are going to unfold as we go forward with the Republican Party and with politics. And so my whole thing is to say, look, this is really what's going on in there, right? This is what's happening. And this is your government. And this is what I'm experiencing as I try to find a way to restore balance and so that we all have more of a voice and we can actually solve some problems instead of going on like this, Anyways, that's my soapbox, guys. But it's wonderful meeting you. And I thank you so much for coming on and doing everything that you do. It's very important. I'm going to take about a half-hour break here and then come back and try and carry this thing on for another hour or two. I'm hoping Minority Leader Themis Claridis, who's a dear friend of mine, said she wants to pop in when she gets home. And we have Dan Rial coming on and Matt O'Brien who's an RTC chair and potentially could run for the party chair system. So there's some really great guests still coming up. But thank you, Mr. Riley and Ms. Nentu, for all you're doing out there. And I look forward to how we can come together and do some stuff. And so I told you about this, the Connecticut Taxpayers Union, but now we have a show called Unaffordable Connecticut, which is a David Letterman style show with our previous guests. And we have a live band. They play Americana music. Joe Petrina plays this. Look up his name, Joe Petrina. Fascinating individual, but a wicked.
I wrote it down earlier. You had him on earlier. I was watching.
Yeah, he's a very interesting man and surprisingly excellent songwriter. He learned from Johnny Cash's wife, the Carter family. So he writes great tunes and I really expect a lot of that. But you two could certainly come and be a guest and talk about affordability in America and Connecticut in general. And so I would love to do that. Absolutely. That would be a fantastic conversation. And we could well cover the topic alongside with you. And have a couple of whiskeys and it'll all be good. I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much. We'll come back anytime. Thank you so much for the insight and your time and your platform.
I'm honored to be here. We'll definitely come back. I don't know what to say. I'm without words.
Well, it's nice meeting both of you, and keep doing what you're doing. We'll talk again real soon. All right.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
We'll be watching. All right. So there you have it, folks. That was actually a great conversation. And I think that's a great means to network. And I think that went rather well. Mark James Levesque, Aaron, the Elmhurst Hospital nurse whistleblower. The interview is just amazing, and I've shared on several platforms. How is she doing? Anybody know? She was just hanging out with Roger Stone a couple, 2-3 nights ago. She's making some headway. She's screaming. She's trying to get the attention of the president. Thank you very much for your blessing, Mr. James Levesque, Mark James Levesque. I sincerely appreciate that, sir. DeGrazia, Paul DeGrazia. Voting is an illusion of choice for the United Slaves of the USSA. Yes, there are a number of people that feel that way, sir. That sort of disenfranchised American is part of the problem in the sense that when they don't vote, it's hard to squelch the folks that are voting for all the wrong things. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. I don't know what else I could say about that. Truth Seeker, not really into panels. Oh, we covered that one earlier. Let's keep on scrolling through these comments. Bye-bye, Mr. Russ. We must have lost you when our stream went down momentarily. I do sincerely apologize for that, folks. I can't control the weather. One might argue the Jews are, but not on this channel. Enthusiast Unlimited, thank you very much. Bleep, Connecticut, Jacob SEAL Team 4. Interesting. Okay. SEAL Man Jacob. I love the name, biblical and all that good stuff. Well, very well said, sir. Unfortunately, I can't verbalize your plight. Connecticut is no longer the Constitution state. That's right, sir. And I would hope that you feel so obliged to and so inclined to black out Constitution on your license plate using a piece of black electrical tape. It seems to do the job rather well on my plate, sir. So have at it if you like. It doesn't seem to be a problem. I'm heading back out west. If y'all see a lone Connecticut person out there, you'll know why. Oh, shit. Well, don't go too far, man. They're pooping in the streets out there. If you're going to San Francisco, please wear a hazmat suit and watch out for those syringes, pal. Let's see. Hello, enthusiast. Six banger. Nice to see your support, man. You're always here. I love it. Nice to see your face all the time, every time. Hello from India. What's up, brother? I did some work for a guy named Harsh Patel. Harsh and Vinod. They made some pretty damn good food. India is known for hash, is it not? I think the origins of hash were in India, I think. I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Or anybody else can. Leclerc. Keisha Leclerc. Cool. Yes, it is. Dab time. All right. It takes a month of jail to lose your entire life? No. But I did suffer, for a little while there. Suffered for 30 days. Walking into a prison and like before you get to your bunk and the guys have already torn half of the stuffing out of it and the one next to it's punching a brick wall doing handstand push-ups. You're in there for some pot and these guys are like in there for some serious shit. Hey man, what you in for? It was like, I shot at the police, man. Yeah, stole a police car, drove right through the police department, killed like 16 guys. And nobody messes with me after that. Little humor for you this evening. 8 watching now. Come on, what the hell, man? 8 watching now. 24 likes, 1 thumbs down. Who's the guy that gave me a thumbs down for this? This is pretty good. I'll continue on through these comments. We'll keep my mind going. I don't want my gears jamming up on me here. I think cops are sick of their job. That's why we have all these problems as well. Well, I wouldn't say cops are sick of their job. I would say cops are sick and tired of being put between the rock and the hard place. And what I mean by that is they're sick of the mayors and they're sick of the governors and they're sick of the unions that kind of delegate and dictate all of their behaviors and their training and what they're going to do. So, I mean, they're people like us, man. Not all cops are bad cops and not all cops are good cops. And I would have to argue that all cops are good people. Then again, most other cops got their problems and they don't seem like very good people at all. Just a podium, not for the people. Connecticut has a list of problems longer than the Constitution. Yes, that's a very good observation, Jacob. SEAL Team 4. Bang. I love your participation this evening, sir. I like the name, too. American again. They're out of control, for real. Cops are petrified of cameras in Connecticut. Yes, they are. They don't like them at all. And even calling a state trooper officer is like almost an arrestable offense these days. But I digress. We'll try not to slurp fluids live. Yeah, and we won't laugh too loud into the... Okay, whoa. Mark James Levesque. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, we could do Blossom. Anybody remember Blossom? Whoa. 6. Whoa. Tony Lawrence, right? Tony Lawrence. Whoa. No, it's 1994 again. Come on, guys. We're all my 1990s guys. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you, Kirsten Miller. Thank you. Is that the Kirsten Miller? That would be fantastic if it is.
I have a question about Roger Stone here.
Question about Roger Stone. Is he in jail? Aaron visited him. Did I get that right? No, he is not in jail, sir. She was in...
I want to say Tennessee.
She's on her way to New York.
Mistaken.
But she is traveling the country. Roger Stone is not in jail. He is heavily invested in Aaron's mission to get the truth out there. Get the president's attention. She is very well received here on this platform, as you know. Awesome. Kirsten, thank you very much for joining us. It's nice to see another local. The wife wants to say hello.
Hi, Kirsten.
Thank you very much for being here. We're glad that you guys are fans. Shout out to the Miller family, local active family out there in eastern side of Connecticut. They got chickens, wonderful eggs. We get to enjoy those every once in a while. Kirsten makes a hell of a jam. We're looking forward to another jar of that. Wiki still says he is. Well, I don't know if you know this, but I think you can edit pretty much anything that's on Wiki. And like, in fact, I can write something about yellow snow that would make you think you should eat some on Wiki.
The account.
Right. Yeah, unless your account is locked.
The doctor that came out, Judy Merkowitz, or I can't pronounce her last name, but the one who was saying, she was speaking against the narrative of the whole COVID deal that's going on here. And I think they had made something on her Wiki profile there, and then they locked the account before she could change it back to what it really was. I want to say that it was her. I'm like 99% sure it was her. So, fun little fact about Wiki.
Yeah, Mr. Mark James Levesque, I would not rely upon Wiki. Yeah, to be honest, I don't even want to begin to try and rifle off a good source of information for you. I will say I tend to use the Drudge Report myself. A lot of information I get now really comes from the auditing community. It's done through public record requests and things of that nature. And then I get the regular banter back and forth that you see scrolling through Facebook. You see AOL's headlines, Yahoo, Google, and stuff like that. You can click around, and then basically it's best to click around, my guy, and kind of dissect or reverse engineer, if you will, the news, and then kind of put it back together and draw your own conclusions. Find out what this entity is leaving out and what that entity put in and what this entity says and how it's kind of totally different. Even though it printed that Elvis is still alive, maybe there's some truth into what it's saying about, a current campaign or a police officer or anything. tabloids or tablet. Anyway, I digress. Okay, I agree. Wiki is getting worse and worse. I try to avoid it. Okay, cool. Yeah, we like to talk here at Tyrant Slayer Studios. I do appreciate. I hope you like to listen as much as I like to talk. I guess is a good way to put it. And I do sincerely thank everyone here for joining us. This was a rather, aside from the interruptions with the internet connection, a rather good interview that we had with the Connecticut Strategist Report, or upon the Connecticut Strategist Report, hosted by a political strategist, Daniel Kent Newmyer. And he's a fantastic gentleman with a very interesting portfolio of people around him. The level of creativity in the room just listening. I mean, we had cowboys, we had musicians, we had activists, all on one platform in one night. And he's got some good folks coming up at 11 o'clock. Perhaps I could send him a message. He said 11 o'clock, right? Yeah, perhaps I could send him a message, see if he would allow me to stream that. In case, if any of you guys are interested in seeing that, put one in the live chat. You know, we have a couple of prizes to give away. I almost made the mistake of saying I'm going to do it tonight. But we have a lot to give away, actually. This month, November, is going to be a busy month for us. We're going to be giving away some really nice Rokus. I think we're going to go get the 4K Rokus for some of you folks. But then again, some folks might not have a 4K TV, so we're undecided on that. We're going to get the nice Roku. We do have a live stream contestant that has won from when we were out live at the Corrigan prison. I am going to announce the winner of that, but before I get to that, I'd like to say, we're giving out a ton of Rokus. We've got some autographed copies of The Undercover Epicenter Nurse. You all know Erin Marie Oshevsky and her commitment, and she's signed some copies of these books for us, for our fans. She's given us some personal copies as well, and also a copy for the studio, which was very gracious of her. She's a very passionate woman, and she's totally down for the cause. Anyone who's calling her a fraud or even speculates in the slightest, in my very humble observations, but very educated observations in this regard, is either not listening, or they're not reading, or they just don't know what they're talking about. So if you do support her message and you are trying to help her get it out there, we applaud you and we sincerely thank you. Please share that interview, share that whole playlist, advocate for those videos and her cause and her message. She's behind our kids. She's working diligently throughout the country. She started locally in Florida. And she's making her way all over the place to try to get our kids out of these masks and away from the very serious and very potentially dangerous psychological problems, that come along with this sort of thing, the social things that, I mean, I'm not going to get into the controversial topic of mask usage this evening, but there are a number of health effects that are well documented and associated with mask usage like this, and it's terrifying to see what's going on. And this woman is trying to fight the tyranny, and she's trying to fight the evil, if you will. She's trying to right the wrongs, and we're here to help. And as long as we do it together, there's no stopping us. United, there is little we cannot do. Divided, there is little we can do. And if you have children out there and you have a family, and you're just you're not the young naive person you used to be, and your body's starting to hurt, and you're getting old, and you're looking down the road and you don't like what you see, well, this is the right place for you. We cover it all here, from Italian pasta sauce recipes to dogs and chickens and jarring food to cop watching. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Colorado here. Hey, what's up? Kit Pim. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Colorado. That's awesome. Corrupt ones are sick of being exposed. Honest cops quit because of corrupt ones. I know, because my daughter's father tolerated corruption for a year as a rookie and kept 2 logs.
The truth in the one who was report.
Terry B. Let's take a look, Terry B. Because the truth is, okay, yeah. Thanks, Tim, for all your efforts. Hey, Terry B. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Or guy, or dude. Terry's kind of spelled like a dude. That could have been an accident. Sorry, I don't know if that's a Terry, female or male, but jeez Christ. I'm having an awful time here. I better drink some more water, and I'll try to do that without slurping best I can. I could do a good Walter Cronkite impression for you folks. Or maybe an old school Dan Rather, something. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 people watching on Tyrant Slayer Studios, 24 likes and 1 thumbs down. Film at 11. Mark James Levesque says, I've listened to that interview 3 times, and she is 100% for real. We agree with you, Mr. Mark James Levesque. Thank you very much for being here, and that is a hell of an avatar. Very Grateful Dead-esque. I like that. That's nice, man. I like to speak with Aaron. I live in Tampa Bay. Sir, I'm sure you can arrange that, damn it.
Sir,
Terry, I'm sure you can arrange that. Easier than you think. Anyone wearing a mask to vote tomorrow? Not me. Well, Kim, she's his Kim Pim tit. I'm going to give you to my wife, and she's going to tell you what I'm thinking. Ready?
Anybody wearing a mask to vote tomorrow? Not me.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. I would like you to film that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I will. It's not so much to ask. I think there are some restrictions. But you'll be stopped in a public place for sure if you're not wearing a mask. You won't even get into the building. I think
a lot of what I've seen is they'll have anyone who does not want to wear a mask inside do curbside voting. So it's not that they're denying you your right to vote, but you have to vote in kind of an alternative fashion. I don't know. Policy versus law. I mean, you could get into it with somebody there if you wanted to. It's not a law that you have to wear a mask while you vote. So,
yeah, if you folks haven't checked it out already, you can find me on if you do at Worthy Son of Liberty. If you search at Worthy Son of Liberty, you can find the Tyrant Slayer Studios Facebook page, and upon that, if you are a Connecticut citizen, I highly suggest, or I highly recommend that you check out Victoria Eloise and her bombs that she drops upon that page, one of which is most recent and perhaps one of the more powerful in a number of days or maybe a week or two, is about the voting irregularities here in the state of Connecticut that she's reported to the FBI and a number of other upper echelon offices. It's known now that the federal government is looking at the state of Connecticut and the voting irregularity issues. Voter fraud is definitely a problem out here. I don't know who keeps voting for all these people. Richard Blumenthal, Chris Murphy, Senator Matt Lesser, Delora. Oh my God, she looks like the what's the lady's name from 101 Dalmatians? Corella DeVille. Yeah, we got Corella DeVille as a senator here out in Connecticut. State Senate representative, right? Isn't that what she is? Anyway, she's a trip. Slow mode is a bit long. We have to wait like 30 seconds between comments. Just letting you know. Hey, I need that feedback, brother. So thank you very much. That's outstanding. I'm gonna need that, and that'll be good to know for next time. It's a learning experience for me. It's running a little long, and it was a little shaky. Please share the video, folks. I do appreciate your support. Getting back to the prizes, we're giving away the book, autographed books, some Rokus. We might give away a camera, maybe some copies of the Constitution, some pocket Constitutions. I am going to get a merchandise line going. I'm going to get some hats and some shirts and some mugs and some cool stuff. Maybe some camera lens covers or camera cases and some backpacks or, whatever's clever. But the winner of, and I'm probably going to announce this again in my next video, but the winner of the live stream giveaway, and what were we giving away, honey? a copy of the book. Yeah, we're giving away a copy of the Undercover Epicenter Nurse book to a Miss J.R. Raven. J.R. Raven was an outstanding fan on that day in which she watched us all on.
She watched us all day.
Yeah, she watched. What is all this other stuff?
Those were other people.
Oh, I see. Yeah, she watched us all day. She jumped around with us as we traveled throughout the day. We went to Montville, Connecticut, hit the police department there. She was there with us in the live stream, rocking out in the chat. She was there with us shortly thereafter at Corrigan Corrections Institution. Then she jumped on over to Norwich PD. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And when Montville police followed us, we thought we were going to get pulled over. Good thing we were in a rental car. She was there throughout the day. Very. Yeah, she was there all day. So, J.R. Raven, congratulations. If you go ahead and email me at studioadmin@TyrantSlayerStudios.com, or go ahead and try to get at me through Facebook. Again, that's at Worthy Son of Liberty on Facebook. You could try to get at me through Facebook Messenger there, through the page Messenger. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, share our channels, share the videos, and keep up the good fight with us. We're going to make some progress, and our kids are going to take this country back someday. You know, our kids, your kids, us together with this new kind of journalism that's really objective, real journalism, real auditing, real journalism, a real fight for government accountability, liability, and transparency. We got to elect ourselves and stop relying on people that are essentially unreliable and for their entire careers have been unreliable, for that matter. So with that, and the reflection on Socrates today that I made much earlier, I bid to you farewell and good night, the wife.
Everybody have a lovely evening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your support.
Yeah. Keep up the good fight, guys. Kiss those kids and stay warm. Winter's coming. We'll see you next time.